everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death.
So, Leon is coming to as he's being dragged through this brilliantly lit antechamber by a couple of altar boys. Actually, a boy and a girl.
Altar children?
Altar children. I don't know what does Leon know anything of religion?
No, he is not a religious person.
Okay.
I mean, he's aware of the gods, but like he's going to hell and he knows it, so he doesn't worry about them.
Yeah. All right. So through this antechamber, you're dragged into the dimly lit church proper. Flickering torchlight surrounds you, and you are hurled onto a wooden pew.
Mm-hmm.
The priest sets to work, I guess. I mean, at this point, your major wounds have been at least stopped, at least slowed.
Yeah.
You can act. Do you let the clergy have their way with you, or are you acting? Are you doing anything? Are you saying anything? I mean, there's a lot of commotion. Actually, right now, it's sort of you and the altar children, and a few people are like pushing their way into the church to see what's going on. And right now, the father is like, no, give us some space to breathe, and blah blah blah. And then he like learns to you like, my child, what is
mugged in the alley.
What has become of you? What has happened?
Alleyway, Cyclops, 9 feet, 10 feet maybe.
All right, so are you trying to play off that you're like delirious? I mean, I guess you don't really need to try that hard.
I feel like those are all very true statements.
Okay, but if you aren't acting, you are being tended to on this pew.
Yes,
your clothes start getting like peeled back to see the nature of the wounds.
I'm fucking at 2 HP here, man. These guys can do whatever they want to me because I'm basically dead, and if they don't, save my life, it's over.
All right. One of the altar children is like, Pyre, I think he's still bleeding, and they are removing clothes. The crowd has been pushed outside, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest sets to looking at you. What kind of clothes were you wearing? You weren't armored, obviously, right?
No armor.
Was it a robe, or was this like a fisherman's outfit? What kind of goofy costume?
This was a plain brown robe that I had bought for a few copper or a few silver in some ditchwater town. So I'm poorly dressed.
Oh, you're dressed as a monk, aren't you?
Yeah.
You actually look, and this guy is wearing a remarkably similar brown robe. His is a lot nicer than yours.
Yeah.
Yours is like made of burlap or whatever.
Right.
So last season. But he's wearing brown robes, and like the red sash. He had some sort of red shawl on, but that has since been used to like stay your bleeding. But now that's being peeled back. Now that like the major bleeding has stopped, and they pull your robe away, and I guess you make this connection as he's making this connection that you probably bought knockoff clergy robes from this guy's
clergy robes. Yeah.
And he looks to you with compassion, like my brother. What have you?
I've been mugged in the alleyway by a giant cyclops. Oh god, I'm dying! I'm dying! Where's my bag? Where's my bag?
It's like at your underneath the pew, but like going through it or looking at it
with my like spare hand, my one good hand, I'm like desperately clutching to grab my bag.
I think the altar children restrain you. You can resist, but I that it would be uncouth to do so.
Not going to fight the children.
And your robe is peeled open, and it's like, dear gods, dear lady, and he like and I guess he gets it. You can see. I think he can just roll if he's. Yeah, he can just make another roll to stop the bleeding in its entirety. which is fine. So he like sets to removing splinters, and like he gets through that in a minute or so, and like starts to wrap it. And I don't know. I mean, you can try and read him if you want. Sorry, let me close this door.
Sure.
But he's got the look on his face like this guy may never use his arm again, and he's like trying to like sort out how much to tell you, how much to let on. But his face betrays a lot of this, I think. Can you feel that? And you're like, huh, what? And you see him like holding your right hand and like poking the fingers or something, and you
God.
Yeah. You're like, huh? Oh God, no. Don't worry, brother. You just must be in shock. And he like starts to rub your forehead.
Mm-hmm.
You're burning up. He like leans in, eerily close to your face, and he's like, let the fever consume you. Let the Lord's flame cleanse you. He seems to think it's a good sign that you're contracting a fever. Medieval medicine.
I have no knowledge to counteract him. I think I just kind of lie there, maybe pass out, maybe not pass out. I think I'm probably in some like semi-delirious state here. I'm probably getting like flashes of what's happening mixed with like dreams that are going on.
Yeah, you're gonna need to give me something. I mean, so that's been the idea of pretending to be a monk of his order has dangled itself in front of you. But you would need to play that up if that's a route you're trying to go.
It's not. I'm just content to.
Okay. So do you give him nothing? You don't say anything. You pretend to be delirious. You sleep. You let them tend to you as you will. Okay. So you're under care of a healer. If you'd like to try and time skip, we can like try to heal you. Is that the route you're going to go?
Let's at least skip until I'm stable and awake.
You're stable and awake within a few minutes, I guess, like mechanically, right? I mean, so this has all happened in the course of probably 10 minutes. You never got even a chance to tick a minor bleeding, right?
Right. Okay, then I would like.
Yeah, I mean, so that's probably part of the reason. Like 10 minutes ago, you were getting pounded in an alley by the Cyclops, and now it's all just this delirious fever dream. You're able to act, but that action very well could be. I think that
action is rest.
So you're going to try to get complete bed rest on this pew under the care of proficient healers
for at least one day.
Yeah. You can't actually gain any. I'll give you let me.
I don't think I can gain any HP.
No, you can't. So you need a full day just to like get things started. I don't think you don't gain any immediate HP from the care of the healer. He didn't get it to you. He was focused on stymieing the bleeding.
Right.
So it'll be at least 2 days before you start recover. Like not today, but if you rest tomorrow, you can recover. So So you probably have the strength to get up and stagger down the street to a tavern or what have you, but in fact, you paid for a night in a tavern.
I did.
But you're going to hunker down in this church.
Yes.
You attempt to sleep and rest.
Do I know whether the Goldsmiths Union would be brazen enough to go inside of a church to kill someone?
Roll. Do you have any knowledge proficiencies, or is this just?
No, I'm just an enforcer.
Yeah, you can roll an intelligence check for me though at -5, let's say.
Okay, that's still a pass.
You've heard of it, and in a very like bad light. Like you heard rumors that it's probably someone in. I don't know, maybe before your time or like in a different neighborhood, so not necessarily in your immediate circle, but you heard of some enforcer who had been like paid to get some money out of some guy, and he followed him to church and like broke his knees in church, and but there was a lot of fallout. Like the enforcer was punished harshly for doing so.
Got it.
So it's not unheard of, but it would certainly be frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not really, yeah. So
I feel like I'm safe in the church. Now Leon's laying down in this pew. Maybe like he comes to, but then keeps pretending to be unconscious while other people are around. So he's awake with his eyes closed, thinking to himself like, okay,
I think
the one guy's dead. The Cyclops is alive. Maybe he can tell the other Goldsmiths Union people who I am. Maybe not. The others are definitely going to find the body. They're going to see all sorts of weird marks on him. There's going to be a witch hunt already. Maybe not. Who knows how far that'll go, but like...
Yeah, so
I been spotted? But that Cyclops looked stupid. He looked like an idiot, right? He was kind of drooling. He didn't use any words. He seemed like a big dumb beast. I don't know if he could communicate. Oh, but they probably got No, they don't have any spellcasters in the Goldsmiths Union. And so Maldris is kind of worrying and freaking out.
What have they been doing with all the wizards that go missing?
I don't know. I thought they were killing them all, but maybe they're like converting them. I don't know.
Well, can you remember the stipulations of your first quest? I actually can't. I think they hired you to. Oh, did they hire you to bring him back alive?
Supposed to capture him. Yeah.
Well, I think it was capture or kill. Capture preferred or something like that.
Yeah, they definitely wanted the spell book of his.
Yeah. So I think the there's got to be a better word than alter children, but I think they try to take your stuff at some point. I assume you put a stop to this.
Yeah.
You
come to consciousness just as
swipe
they go
them
for my
away,
stuff. I'm like,
and
no.
they leave your bags just under your pew. That has been turned into like a makeshift infirmary.
So now Leon's mind is racing that maybe this is his way off the island. Maybe he can be like indebted to the church and promise to do something for them on another area. Maybe he can like swindle the faithful somehow, or maybe like straight up be honest with them and like get off the island on one of their ships. Maybe they can help him leave. But he needs his arm to work. Can't cast spells with one arm, and you can't be like a fighter Pugilist with only one arm. It's not going to go well. So I need to find a way to fix my arm. I need a way to get off the island. And I need to not be captured by the Goldsmiths Union, because they'll torture me and kill me.
Cool. So at some point within hours, the priest will attempt to communicate with you again. Do you pretend to be asleep, or when he comes by to check on you?
I'll flutter some eyes open and look at him vaguely.
Do you pretend like you can't communicate? So I guess if you just pretend to be
the first words.
Okay, then I don't think so. I think he lets you rest this first check-in and doesn't like you probably pretend you do the whole I'm unconscious. Don't you just want to heal me? And he just comes to check on you. He like checks your dressings, checks your temperature, nods, his stern face, pursed lips behind the big bushy brown beard, and he leaves you be. How long do you want to how long do you want to rest?
I don't think I need a full 24 hours here. I think I can just chill for half an hour or so while I think about what's going on, right? Leon's just trying to buy some time to sort out how he's going to get around this sort of thing.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah.
And I think the first thing he needs to know is how to fix his arm, because that has replaced all other priorities. He's not going to be a gimp for the rest of his life. Leon refuses. He's been searching out magic to gain power, not to become a cripple.
It's going to be you're in character. You're worried your arm will never work again.
Yes.
You've lost control of your right arm.
Yes.
Briefly out of character, you will need magic. You'll need a high level cleric in order to repair it.
So. I think what Leon wants to do is he does want to talk to that priest, and he wants to ask about his arm, asks like, why isn't it working? Is there anything that can be done? And if the priest hints at there's like, yes, it takes great magical powers to blah blah blah, then Leon will be like, I need those powers. I am useful. Make use of me and grant me like healing at the end of my use for you or whatever. So I think that's the route he's going to go right now.
So how do you play that out? So do you want to like rewind back to when he was checking on you, or do you flag him down later?
No, I'll flag him down later. We won't. Okay. We don't have to roll back anything.
Okay. With your left arm.
Yeah. So next time I see him around, I'll kind of like.
Do you say anything, or you just grunt and flail?
I grunt and flail.
He comes over and is what is it, brother? He like puts his hand on your.
It doesn't move.
He nods. Yes, it may. You look a strong lad. I can speak truthfully with you, I hope.
Please.
Your arm may never work again. If your condition worsens, I may need to amputate.
Oh God, no. I have too much left in my life to do. I can't. There must be something. Please. I look at him with like terrified eyes.
Yeah. You know what I meant to do that I forgot to describe was the cauterizing of the wounds. I think you blocked that out, and right now you have a flashback to like the 10 minutes between the cycle, but yeah, to when you were first brought inside the church. And you look out with terrorized eyes. I don't know. Camera zooms into your eyes, and we see flame, and we see like how they got the bleeding to stop with these just like iron pokers heated over brazier.
Victim will be bedridden for at least 1 to 8 months before he can even regain semblance of mobility.
Really?
Shattered, yeah.
I don't even know what that means. That's it.
Destroyed shoulders, hips, or limbs reduce the victim to 50% of his normal maximum HP. Any other wound of this magnitude reduces the victim to 25% of his normal HP.
Yeah. So your max, it doesn't matter. You're at 2 out of whatever half of your HP is.
10.
What I want to know is what happens during the bedridden stage. Like I maybe just impose. I'll probably just impose combat penalties. How would you handle this?
Well, I would say that I am locked in bed for 1 to 8 months before I can go anywhere or do anything. I think I'm just like in critical condition and like stuck here for ages in this church.
Yeah, I mean, you can still communicate, but I think adventuring is probably not going to happen for 1 to 8 months. I mean, if you were to, I'm trying to think if you are to try to like force it, is it just like -4 on everything?
Could be something like that. -4 can be disadvantage on every single thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how spell casting, how it probably
some like 50-50 chance of getting the spell off.
Yeah, some chance of spell failure or something like that.
Okay. So Leon's looking at this cleric.
Yeah. So he's just you add this flashback to them cauterizing your wounds with hot iron pokers. You like had like blocked it from your mind in the shock. And he's now telling you that if things don't get better, he might just cut off your arm.
So I look at the priest with like big sad eyes, and I shake my head, and I'm like, Father, I am a skilled man. I can do many things. I could be of great use to the church. Surely you must have a divine way of fixing this. I can be useful. Fix my arm, and my life is yours.
Were that it's so simple, brother.
I know a great many things. A great many things that would help the church.
I'm afraid this is out of my hands, out of your hands.
I know about the
You
Union.
look down and he's like touching your right arm, and you can't feel it.
I keep pleading with him. I know about the Union. I have a lot to. I could tell you about them.
He leans back. The Union? Who are you, brother?
A cripple at the moment, but I could be your most faithful servant.
Roll me some sort of charisma check.
Come on, Leon. Yes.
Critical.
When it counts.
Holy
when it
cow.
really counts.
Mm-hmm.
Although I know things.
In those, yeah.
Know things. Things that could help you. Things that you may wish to know.
I have faith in you, brother, but again, this is out of our hands. Let the fever take you. Let the Lord's flames cleanse you. It is up to him whether your arm can be saved.
All right. Well, I done what I done.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to play fast and loose with time a little bit here. But that night there will actually be well, I guess before what I was gonna say, there are services at sunset. What do you want to do? Like, do you play up the invalid card and just like claim your stretch of pews? And like, because because you can play helpless and they'll treat you here. I mean, you can just lay on the pews and like.
No.
But at some point that evening, people start filtering in for services.
I will do my best to like sit up and like tuck my useless arm in my lap.
You stay in the same spot of the pews.
But
you sit up and you like tuck your bag hidden. Cool. Do you try and hide yourself? Do you like pull a hood overhead, or you just sort of sit there?
Okay. I mean, no, I'll just sit here. If my enemies want to know, or if my enemies know who I am, by now they've found me, right? It wouldn't be a hard thing to figure out where the bleeding guy went in this town.
I don't think you need to roll for this. It's a long service, and you catch on at some point through it that there are definitely some guild members eyeing you through the service.
All right.
You see a pair of thuggish-looking individuals. You'd guess them to be low level, the eyes, ears, and fists of the guild type, but they eye you through the whole service.
Yeah.
And then they quietly leave. Maybe they like curse under their breath as they walk past you. I don't know I don't even know if there's a word for it. You're not a rat, but you killed a gilded man. Do you think there's a term
traitor?
for that? Traitor. But in Thieves' Cant, I'm not sure what the what they would, yeah.
What do you call it? A loose cannon?
Yeah. No. I mean, well, you're not totally sure if he died.
A rabid dog,
did.
maybe?
Nah. Anyways, they curse you under their breath as they walk past, but they don't accost you during the services, and you probably lay back down after and continue to rest. That night, you will hear a conversation in the antechamber. So the main chamber. So at sunset, there was some sort of. Is this the first time you've ever been in a church?
It's probably not the first time I've ever been in a church, but it's probably been the first time I've been here, not on assignment, like doing exactly what I saw those guys doing.
So are you of the faith?
No.
Like, if this is the predominant faith in the region, would you have been of the same faith, or did you like? So
Leon is not the only time he's been to church is when he's like had a job to go into the church and watch someone or find some information out or deliver a message.
Did your mother die in childbirth? Or
no, she was a prostitute at at a cheap brothel called the Sweet Rose.
And she never took you to church?
No. When I say she was a prostitute at this brothel, I mean like the modern equivalent would be like an enslaved prostitute or like a crack whore or something. Like we're talking bottom of the barrel sort of thing. Like she lived and worked in that building and didn't go out and didn't get to do anything. And when she gave birth to a child, like it was his job to clean up the messes in the place. So I come from like the lowest possible rung of society.
Okay. So at sunset, everyone filtered in for the service, and it's some sort of like relighting ceremony. This inner chamber of the church, now that you've been here for a couple of hours at this point, it has no natural light. It is completely like there's no natural light in here. And at sundown, you gather that it's sundown. There's some relighting of the torches ceremony. And then that wraps up and you continue resting. Everyone filters out. And that night you overhear a conversation in the antechamber. So the antechamber was like the front chamber with all the windows that you were first dragged through. And you can hear a heated conversation between the priest, who I don't know if you've asked for a name or
I haven't
honorific or anything.
No.
If you would have liked to have overheard it, you can roll something. Otherwise, I can let you ask.
Yeah. Do you want a charisma check or a perception check for that one?
Perception. Yeah.
Nope. Not quite.
Yeah. You're not. You couldn't quite catch it. They aren't referring to him as father or anything like that. But it seems like there's some honorific that the torchbearers. The kids were the ones responsible for most of the relighting of the torches. There's some honorific they call him, but you haven't gathered it. The priest, you overhear the priest and a woman having a heated discussion in the antechamber. You can roll a perception check, try and eavesdrop on it, or maybe intercede yourself in it.
Yeah. That is a failure.
Okay. You can't hear it. It sounds like there is a heated discussion going on in the antechamber.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wait it out and ignore it?
Yeah. I will try and scoot a little bit closer if I can. Maybe like try and stand up for the first time and slowly shuffle in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you approach the front double doors. Roll again. It's on your perception check. Okay. So you scoot put your ear to the door, and you hear, Countess. I wouldn't have thought to see you here. It's like, yes, I believe you have someone you are refuging someone I'm very interested in. It's like, and they appear to be talking about you. The priest protests. Is like, lady, this is a house of God, and this I do not know what this man has done, but he has claimed sanctuary. I cannot allow you to accost him. You haven't heard the last of this. Do you intercede at any point in the conversation, or you?
Nope. I just chill.
Okay.
I just listen as I can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think the conversation wraps up somewhat abruptly with a slamming of doors on the other side.
Once I hear the slamming of doors, I'll make my presence known and go step out and speak to the priest.
Okay. You step into the antechamber as the opposite door swings behind you. He looks to you.
Father? That is the proper term for you?
Call me Pyre.
Pyre?
Were you eavesdropping?
Unintentionally. Your voices were loud.
He nods. I deign ask you what you have done, brother. But this is a house of the Lord. You are safe here. He looks to your. How is your arm? I think it's probably in a sling at this point, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it's not hanging limply at your side. It's like tied up in like a chicken wing. How is your fever? And he steps forward and puts a hand on your head.
I let him, do the touching and see how things are going.
You've cooled down. Not a good sign. What?
That woman shall have my head if you let her.
Oh yes, I know that, but
I told you I know things that they don't want getting out.
Clearly. Come, you should rest.
I resist his movement to get me to rest, and I say, "What is the church's official stance on the union?"
Official stance? Why, the Lord forbids thievery, extortion, eavesdropping. He says poignantly and somewhat humorously or whatever.
I lower my voice and I say, "And what is the church's actual stance on the union?"
He glares at you as if to say, like, how dare you? Like, of course the church and the union are not allies or friends or anything like that.
I give a slight nod.
Yeah.
Say, you may wish to ship me off to those higher up than you. I believe I have information regarding the word you might use, corruption within the church. Members of the church that are pious in the streets and gilded in the sheets.
He smirks. I have long suspected as such. We must torch the decayed foundations of this church. Only those truly faithful to the Lord of Flames can survive.
I nod.
You speak of Seagate?
That is where I'm from.
I know my torchbearers well. My house has not been infiltrated by rats.
Keep an eye on the children. That is where they start. They start with the children.
Although my congregation is grown scummy. But these doors are open to all.
Slowly just waiting.
What are you waiting for?
Quietly waiting. Is there who is the head of your order? And can they be trusted?
He is in Seagate, And
I just start shaking my head right away.
Mm-hmm. He nods in understanding. But we operate fairly autonomously. It's especially in these chaotic times. You don't have anything to fear from Seagate. He gives a smile. Perhaps a naive smile.
At first, I thought I was going to flee this place, to leave the Southern Isles altogether, and make a new life for myself, away from the things I've seen, things I've done. I looked the priest directly in the eyes, the people I've killed. But now, looks around the temple a little bit. I feel as if I have a new calling. It's time to make amends for my past ways of life. I think I know how. Perhaps this injury of mine is not so random. Perhaps the Lord of Fire was bringing me here. Perhaps he created this meeting between the two of us.
He nods knowingly. You have been burned, brother. Will Phoenix fly once more? He poignantly flaps both hands. Or will something new grow from your ashes?
For the work that must be done, I will need use of my arm. Surely there must be a way. I am willing to do the work. Whatever needs be done.
You must have faith in the flames. They're power washing my house right now. Hopefully it's not.
Can't even hear it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, he's got nothing for you. Hey, you must have faith in the flames. Only time will tell whether your arm can be saved.
Okay. As a show of good faith, I will limp back over to my bag and now I can hear the power washing, and pull out a goblet, some bejeweled goblet from within the bag of stolen goods, and hand it over to the priest.
Looks it up and down. Ill-gotten gains. You would bring me down into your... Pull me down into the ashes with you?
I shake my head.
He looks it over.
It may be ill-gotten, but its owner has no more use for it now. Hopefully this will help to show you my intentions are pure. I would not be giving up my hard-won wealth for no reason.
And the Lord of Flame flicked his fingers, and the coals sputtered across the thief's face, branding him for all to know. He condemns you as he takes the goblet and disappears in his own back room. You're not sure if the branding comes later?
You know, I'm not lying to this priest. I think my story of escape is turning into a revenge story. I think maybe Leon's a little bit more ready to get his hands dirty, as long as it's other goldsmiths union members that are producing the blood.
Sure. So, how do you want to handle this? Do we want to skip forward in time? You can't exactly quest for epic heals for 1 to 8 months, right? And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to talk your way to that. So I do think we need to find, to make you useful again, we'll need to find, we'll need to time skip or, yeah.
Yeah, I am comfortable with skipping ahead 1 to 8 months. I don't know if you want to do just like D8 months or if you wanted to do 8 times 4 is what, 32? God, I don't know how to do that. 4D8 weeks? I guess we could do. Or 1D8 months, whatever you want.
Would you rather do 1D8 or like roll out the number of days or something like that?
I guess the bigger question is, do you want it to be a bell curve averaging in the middle or an even chance for 1 to 8 months?
Probably bell curve. So let's do 8D30.
8D30 days. Okay.
128 days. So that's pretty middle of the road, right?
That is 4.2 months. Yep.
Yikes.
Okay.
Or you cool with that? Or would you have rather rolled?
I'm fine with that. Leon can make himself useful on the temple doing one-armed sweeping.
Yeah, so how do you...
Making beds. Probably never setting foot outside the church.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. That wasn't the last time someone from the guild has come knocking looking for you. Pretty much every service, there are... brigands in the congregation, rats in the congregation, casting you eyes. Not always the same. You're putting together. There's probably a bounty on your head, is what it is. And so people, upstart brigands have come to I've been keeping an eye on you, casing the place. You're sure it's been hell for the priest, but he hasn't let on much. How does this time, we've got a lot to do in this passage of time, but can you give me the gist of like how soon does Leon start helping around the church? Do you move into the pew, or do you try and like work your way into better accommodation?
Leon will try and make himself useful as soon as he feels like he's got the strength to get up and like move around. So at first it's maybe like help rearrange things, and as it gets a little bit better, maybe a little bit of dusting, and then as he gets a little bit stronger, then it's a little bit of sweeping, then as he gets a little bit stronger, it's like helping to move things, like pick things up and carry them around, or like wash things down. That's a pretty easy thing. He can get on his hands and knees and like scrub floors.
You're willing to do that sort of work?
I think so. I think Leon is having a change of character here. I think he's using this as an opportunity to like scrub out his inner demons and refocus himself less on personal survival and more on revenge, and gives himself a few months of thinking about these things. I would like to move into better accommodations if that's possible. Specifically so I can my spell book.
You're not going to get a private quarters, so we can see if you can surreptitiously study or if you tell them what you're doing. I don't know, but after you'll once you're like no longer invalid, you'll be moved into the torchbearers accommodation. So you share a bunk room with the boy and the girl. We can give them names if you Charlie and Catherine are their names. They but Pyre, the priest, refers to them as torchbearer and use interchangeably. And I think actually within a couple of weeks that's what you're referred to as well.
Okay.
Torchbearer. And you are actually like apprenticed to these like teenage kids who are show you how to scrub floors and light torches and candles and prepare porridge in the kitchen or whatever.
Right,
menial
This
tasks that you
reminds
never learned.
Leon a lot of his life back at the Sweet Rose when he was their age, and he was like scrubbing out all of the messes made at this brothel, like you know, the fluids, the sweat, like cleaning out linens with all sorts of stuff on them, you know, blood whenever that would arise. So this, I think for Leon, this is kind of like a weird flashback almost. But he will very quickly try and start trying to rememorize spells. He doesn't want to be caught totally off guard.
Okay, so you'd like to memorize. So you can sneak memorization time. It probably doesn't happen immediately. It's probably a couple days, but you can find do you wake up earlier, or do you like sneak to bed earlier and get like half an hour alone in your room? So at some point you can find there is a back chamber next to like the kitchens and the stock rooms where these bunks are. Pyre has his own room across the church, actually above like in like an attic or something. He's got his room.
I think I will try and wake up a little bit earlier than everyone else, and I know church folk probably wake up pretty early, so this is like maybe pre-dawn light a candle, and then try and read and study.
Yeah, you have to get it before dawn. So the services happen at sunrise and sunset.
Right, so this would be like going to bed early, getting up earlier, and trying to memorize one spell at a time.
Yeah, actually, maybe you sneak out into the hall. What do they call it?
That's probably, you wouldn't want to light a candle in the bedroom. And
the hall is, so the main hall, it has no natural light, but there are torches lit 24/7. And there are ceremonial lighting ceremonies at dawn and at dusk. The antechamber is lit. We can talk more about this symbolism if you care over the course of... Actually, yeah. Anyways, so you can memorize, you can catch a morning to memorize spells, but it's not easy. It's a couple days before you get a feel for the rhythm of the place and know that you can find a time just before the dawn ceremony where everyone is resting.
Right.
Probably this is like, you got to get up like 4 a.m.
Do you want me to roll some checks to see if I can do it in secret, or if it gets
Now,
caught?
if you want to learn spells, that's going to be a different story. But I'll give you can if you're patient, you can find a morning to memorize spells. So you've got spells in the back in your memory bank.
Sure, that's fine. I've learned all the spells in the spell book except for Read Magic, which I failed on this last level.
Okay. So not all the spells. You've learned all the spells you've deciphered. There are incomprehensible pages that you don't have a Read Magic with which to learn.
It's true.
So what do you memorize?
I memorized 2 more Fists of Stone, and I rememorized the Shocking Grasp. So I've got 1 Chill Touch, 1 Shocking Grasp, 1 Taunt, and 2 Fists of Stone.
Okay.
Why is Taunt bold? I bolded Taunt. That must have some special meaning.
Does it have material components?
It might.
I think it's like you throw a slug at them. I know that's Tasha's uncontrollable hideous laughter.
I think at a certain point I'll probably start handing over more of my personal wealth, my ill-gotten wealth. It does have a material component, which is a slug. Good call, Ryan.
Oh, that's laughter? Or that's
Taunt. Yeah.
Taunt? Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'll start to slowly spill over more and more of my ill-gotten goods to the head priest. Probably getting, like, rebuked every time that I do.
Yeah,
maybe after, like, a month, I just give him my whole bag of...
So
my 15-pound bag of silverware and goblets.
Yeah, so I think he asked... I mean, you are under the care of his healing, so he is routinely looking at your arm. And you're not so sure that he was joking about the branding. He uses a lot of fire in his healing, even though the bleeding has stopped. So there's a lot of like recutting and burning, and you're recovering HP, so like whatever. But like your arm is all scarred and nasty, and he keeps coming back to those verses about branding thieves every time you hand over the gold.
Well, if that's the way it's gonna go, then that's the way it's gonna go. Leon is committed to the bit. If they're gonna brand me for being a thief, then
I mean, yeah.
Then that's just what Leon will accept his fate. There's something at work here.
Okay. Do you tell them any of your secrets? You would promise that at your first meeting, but if it doesn't, do you bring it up again?
I will. I'm not going to mention my spellcasting abilities. Not until I've seen a little bit more faith on their side, a little bit more trust on their side. I will. The only person I really talk to about any illegal activities would be that head priest, Pyre. The rest of the people there, I'm just some guy who showed up injured and is kind of joining the church and working off his injuries and blah, blah, blah. So I will not mention too much to Pyre until I am healthy enough that I can start moving around and doing things, right? So after these 4 months is when I'll start talking to Pyre and be like, all right, so I feel good enough to move, and here's kind of my plan. Here's the things that I want to do. Here's how we can go forward.
Okay. This time skip seems like a good point to revisit and play with the, so I don't know what we call it, the like ascendant proficiency system. Can you remember what we called that? So you were, I believe, tracking successes and failures of your various checks.
Yes.
And if you have forgotten,
recently.
Even if you have forgotten, you've still probably got enough checks that we can take a look and play with those.
Let me open up my notes.
How much experience do you have? How far are you from leveling up?
I have 6,275 out of 10,000.
Okay, so not even close. We're not even going to worry about that.
Right. Where were...
And you are a level 1?
I'm level 2 fighter, level 3 wizard.
So you are level 5. Cool. I was thinking 5 seems like a good milestone to allow for stat increases. And whether we want to tick up skills at this time. You said you do have a spare non-weapon proficiency slot?
Yes, I do.
So we'll definitely fill that. So did you find your list of skill checks?
No, I'm still looking through my binders. Give me a moment. It's in here somewhere.
And so Omega in chat, you can always cast spells with one arm. Somatic requires one arm free, if I'm correct. I don't know if that's in 2E. They certainly established that in later editions, and in my mind, they all kind of start to blur together.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one arm thing is not going to affect his spell casting. Except for right now, while he's injured. I think you made a spreadsheet or Google Doc or something.
Yeah, but I don't see it. Oh, maybe it's on another... there it is. It's a different page of my spell sheet. So today... Let me quickly look through the history of rolls made today. Let's see, I failed a charisma check. That checks.
You critted a charisma check as well.
Charisma check. I failed a grub skill check, but I don't think that matters.
That wasn't today, was it?
On the fish stew, I failed.
Oh, okay. I didn't even call for that, but sure.
No,
So I think what I'm going to do, this system would certainly require balance testing and tweaking, but for one campaign, I'm not really going to think too hard about how many of these points I throw out. Mm-hmm. I think what I'm imagining it as a good baseline is 1 point per level. And we'll call these like... I don't know how this is going to play into the proficiency slot, but so we'll say that at level 5, and this is the first time we're taking care of it, so you'll have 5 of these ascendancy points, I don't know, whatever points that can be used to increase skills, or I think at level 5 I'll allow an increase of 1 stat, and maybe you also need to spend it to get that new non-weapon proficiency. Okay. So I don't know. This is what I meant about balancing balancing the numbers. I mean, can you give me an overview like of how many checks you have for various skills?
I'm adding them up right now.
Or like a baseline. I mean, so I think maybe just requiring 1 success and 1 failure is probably fine. Like you're not there, like for charisma, you don't have like 5 successes and 5 failures, do you? Or
charisma,
6 successes.
I have 8 failures and 2 passes.
So I don't know how to like, I mean, at a most basic, as long as you've passed and failed, I think you might be able to increase with one of these points, or do you want to like make having tracked all of these things important?
I don't really understand what you're trying to do well enough to give my commentary on it.
Okay. So you can increase so you've got 5 points. You can increase up to, since you're level 5, you can only you'll get a stat increase. So you can use one of those to increase a stat, which I assume was going to be your charisma. I think you will. I'll say you need to have taken enough checks to equal the score of the skill.
Okay.
No, but then you're not going to be able to increase any of yours. Maybe for stats, that's true. For skills, I think as long as you've succeeded and failed on a skill, you can give yourself a +1 to it.
Okay.
For swapping one of these points, and then you can swap one to learn a new skill.
I have 5 points.
Yes, that at the most basic, you can use a point to gain +1 to a skill to ascend it, so to speak. And you need to have at least succeeded and failed at a skill to do that. So let's do 3 of those. But do you have 3 skill? You need to find 3 skills that you have both succeeded and failed on.
I don't have any of those.
That you'd like to give a +1.
I have only failed at all of my skills. I've never passed a skill check since we've been recording these things.
Are you serious right now?
I have only 4 skill checks since we've started recording, and they are all fails.
You didn't do a very good job of recording, so maybe those points are just going to need to be sitting around, and you can know.
All of these skills are skills that I have never used. That's gaming, local history, and direction sense, and I don't have any of those proficiencies.
Okay, well now that you have a better idea of the nature of the stat mini game I was trying to introduce, you can try to succeed on something for once in your life, you miserable failure, Leon. But so you're gonna have 3 that are unused. You can increase a stat by 1. And I think I would limit that to every 5 levels. So when you hit level, so normally we would do this on every level up or something, or whenever it makes sense campaign-wise. So it looks like you can't actually ascend any of your skills because you're a failure. But your charisma, you've at least succeeded and failed a charisma check.
And failed 8 times.
And I think something like requiring a number of attempted checks equal to the score that you're ascending it to might be required for stats. Mm-hmm. Just so like if you wanted to increase your intelligence, you would need 17 intelligence checks or something like that.
Right.
So at this point, you can't ascend any of your skills but charisma. I think is how it's shaking.
So I will boost my charisma by 1, bringing me down.
And if you wanted to game it, you could say, I'm going to hang on to this and wait until I've got enough intelligence checks to boost that. Which how many intelligence checks do you have? Like several, just like a couple.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2.
Okay, that seems reasonable. I'm not sure what would happen if you were like metagaming this to like try and get as many checks as you can. Maybe that's kind of my goal, is to try and incentivize you requesting checks.
Okay.
So if you were trying to, if for level 10 you want to increase your int, you're gonna have to make sure you get at least 17 recorded int checks.
Sure.
But for now, you're up to 6 charisma. Yep. And you can learn, what new proficiency are you going to learn in those 4 months?
So I'm spending a lot of time here in the temple. It should probably be something related to my activities here. And my activities here are a lot of torch lighting, a lot of carrying torches, a lot of cleaning.
So, obvious things it could have also been something else you were working on previously. I don't know if you've mentioned anything. So here, immediately popping to mind are things like religion, fire building.
I think we're going to do a religion proficiency. I think that's really what we're looking for here.
You actually do want that?
Yeah. If I'm going to be partnering with the church to bring down the Thieves Guild, then I should know a little bit about the church that I'm working in. Unless you want is there a church infrastructure hierarchy skill, like a
bureaucracy. I mean,
church bureaucracy. Is that like a subset of religion?
I think that's fine as religion. Yeah. I mean, in Neal, in 2 Neal, you've made like a bureaucracy skill, haven't you?
Yeah, but that is more about like
Or,
general bureaucracy than specific.
I mean, there's
church,
also
yeah.
like there's heraldry, which would be sort of beyond the church, more like
right.
houses and powers, which I think would also include things like the church, but more of just like you would know of the religions as individual factions,
Right.
as well as noble houses and maybe guilds and more prominent guilds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've added a religion proficiency to my character sheet. I've reduced my HP by 50%.
Oh, yikes. What's your max HP now?
10 instead of 21. Yeah, tell me about it. Leon's basically starting over.
Cool. I think now is probably a good time for a break. Is there anything you want to
No, this is good. Let's go to break
mention?
here.
Yeah.
And then we'll sort everything out on the other side of our break. So see you in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
Bob.